Welcome to Coach's Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette sports writer and Steeler insider. No one does it better than Ray Fittipaldo. Ray, are you ready for the season?
Absolutely, Ed. Good to be with you. Week one, and I'll tell you what, great test for the Steelers with the 49ers coming to town. They are one of the best teams in the NFC, I think.
Well, look, the Steelers 3-0 preseason, and it looked pretty easy, Ray. It looked like at time men against boys. So all the hype around this season, is it warranted?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they played a lot of backups early in the season. A lot of coaches, took different approaches with the preseason because it's now truncated down into 3 games. But the reason I'm probably more optimistic than others is I saw it in practice too. I saw how Kenny Pickett commanded the huddle. I see the respect that his teammates have for him. And that's not only the guys on the offense, that's also the guys on the defense as well. We talked to Cam Hayward yesterday on Labor Day just about Kenny Pickett being, named a team captain. And, he says it's easy. This is a guy who works his tail off. And anyone who works his tail off, they're set up for success. So Kenny has the belief of his offensive teammates, and he's got the beliefs of his defensive teammates as well.
Okay, Ray, let me ask you. I mean, we look at the AFC North. In your mind, how do you see the pecking order?
Yeah, to me, Ed, I still think the Bengals are on top. And I know it's hard to win it 3 years in a row. If you go back to when the NFL realigned the divisions back in 2002, no AFC North team has ever won it 3 years in a row. But I just look at Joe Burrow. I look at the weapons he has with T. Higgins and those other receivers, Tyler Boyd. And they got a pretty good defense, too. I got to give their front office credit. They've built a good team around him. It's just not the skill player. So I still have the Bengals 1. Excuse me. I got the Steelers 2. I got the Ravens 3. And I got the Browns 4. But I do think all 4 teams have a chance to be over 500. I know that doesn't happen a lot, but I think all 4 of these teams in the division are quality teams.
You're high on Pickett. You mentioned Joe Burrow. So when you look at the 4 quarterbacks within a division, how do you rate them? In what order?
You got to go Burrow number 1. I'm going to go Lamar Jackson number 2, just because Lamar Jackson has been there and done that. He's been a league MVP. And if you look at his record, his starting record during the regular season, he knows how to get it done. Now it's a different story in the postseason. He hasn't had a lot of postseason success, but I really like Jackson as a regular season quarterback. He knows how to win. And then this might surprise some people. I'm going to go Pickett number 3, and I'm going to go Deshaun Watson number 4. It's just been too long for me since we've seen Deshaun Watson be that difference maker at quarterback. I know there's some built-in excuses from last season with the suspension, the long layoff, but I have him number 4.
Do you think Pickett will throw for more than 20 touchdown passes this season?
I think that's a great number. Now, if you had to set the over-under, I think 20 would be a good number. I think they're going to open it up a little bit more this year, but I don't think it's going to be crazy. I still think they want to rely on Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. I think they have a great defense. I think they want to play to their strengths. So, yeah, I could see Kenny anywhere from that 20 to 24 range. I think anything over 24 would be a big surprise, but I do expect him to take a big jump from last season. Last season, you'll remember, very conservative offensive approach, low touchdowns, low interceptions in the second half of the season. I do think those numbers will increase, but I think your number of 20 is actually a really good one.
Right. When you look at the team and you try to evaluate them, what are the strengths, and then what are the weaknesses, and what are the concerns that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a team that's still built around its defense. You look at each level of the defense. You got T.J. Watt, you got Cam Hayward, and you got Minkah Fitzpatrick, 3 All-Pros. All 3 of those guys have been first-team All-Pros on 3 occasions at least. So that's a great foundation to start with. You got Alex Highsmith, who looks like he's coming into his own. And you got a revamped inside linebacker room that I think is going to be better than what they put on the field last season. The biggest question I have about this defense, Ed, is the secondary. Look at all the changes on that unit. Cam Sutton leaves. Arthur Mollett leaves. Terrell Edmonds leaves. And you're replacing them with a different number of players. With Keanu Neal and DeMonte KZ are going to play a lot at strong safety. You got rookie Joey Porter Jr., who I think is going to get some playing time. And then you got recently, just this past week, last week actually, and you get Desmond King, who's going to be in the mix with Chandon Sullivan and Elijah Riley. That's a lot of change from a secondary that was actually pretty good last season. So I don't know if I would call it a concern, but I think all those guys have to prove themselves early in the season before I become a believer in that unit.
All right, you mentioned the defense. So in 4 of the last 6 years, the Steelers have led the NFL in sacks with 0 playoff wins. To my mind, I'm looking back last 4 or 5 Super Bowl winners, including the Chiefs. Sacks aren't a big part of their success. So what's that say about sacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Steelers, they still like to put that pressure on the quarterback because, just what we talked about, they don't have a particularly strong secondary. I think those other teams that have been in the mix for Super Bowls the last couple of years, they're built differently. They maybe have some better players in the back end, or they're set up to have success at different levels of their defense. This is a Steelers defense that is still built around the pass rush, and they feel like rush and coverage work together. That's been their philosophy for a long, long time, and I don't expect that to change. And it hasn't translated into postseason success since 2016, but if you go back to 2005, you even go back to 2008, Mike Tomlin's first championship team, they were really built in the same way. So I think the Steelers can win again in that same vein, but to your point, other teams do it with coverage. They do it in a different way, but I still think this is the way the Steelers believe they can win the AFC North.
Let's look at the offense, and you have an elite wide receiver. I think he is a star in the making in George Pickens. But other than that, any other playmakers that you see at wide receiver as compared, like you mentioned, the Bengals and even the Browns, they've upgraded that area.
Yeah. Well, number one, you need Deontay Johnson to have a bounce back season. You can't have him not scoring any touchdowns in 2023 like it happened in 2022. I think he's good for 5 or 7. You know who I think is going to be the surprise player? A lot of people are pointing to, second-year receiver Calvin Austin. I think he's going to be good. But I'm telling you, Allen Robinson had a really nice training camp. He's the vet they added in a trade in the spring. Kind of an under-the-radar signing. He's been injured a lot throughout his career, had an injury-riddled season last year with the Rams. They wanted to dump him in his salary. So he lands in Pittsburgh. Really good possession receiver. I think he'll be key on third downs. I think there's some juice still left in the tank there. So I think Allen Robinson, he's not going to be a prolific guy like Pickens is going to be, but I could see him getting 500-600 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns, and being that solid number 3 the Steelers need him to be.
All right, finally, Ray, let's look at the opener. The 49ers favored by 2.5. Right now, there is no Nick Bosa. Can the 49ers beat the Steelers without Bosa?
Yeah, and George Kittle's banged up too, so we'll see how that goes. Listen, TJ Watt signed on a Friday. 48 hours later, they played in Buffalo to open the season. He had 2 sacks and a forced fumble. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Nick Bosa can't do the same thing. I think the 49ers know what type of player he is. I think they'll get him signed. But the difference is, Ed, that he hasn't been in camp at all with the 49ers. They don't know what his conditioning level was like. So that's kind of the one unknown. So to answer your question, if he plays, I think the 49ers probably should be a slight favorite, as they are. I think the latest line was 2.5. If he doesn't sign, he doesn't play, I think the Steelers should be favored in this game, and I like them to win.
What do you have a score in mind you would give us?
Yeah, I mean, 2 really good defenses. Talk of the preseason: Kenny Pickett, George Pickens. 5 touchdowns on 5 preseason drives. I look at that 49ers defense. Even without Bosa, Fred Warner is really good. They got the Samoan safety Hufanga, who's really good. So I'm going to go Steelers 19, 49ers 16 in a low-scoring affair at Acrisure Stadium.
That's funny because I have the Steelers 19-17. Hey, Ray,
On the same page.
Hey, thanks for joining. Always great to have you on. Like to get you on again halfway through the season for your evaluation.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. I'll be right back with Ellen George.
Armstrong has a long history of fighting food insecurity in our communities through Breaking Bread events. Here's how you can help. We're celebrating our 6th annual Avenge Hunger Month. Join us in supporting local food banks and soup kitchens by dropping off these most requested items to your local Armstrong office between August 28th and October 1st. Together, we can knock out hunger. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com/breakingbread to find a list of community feeding programs in your area.
I'm back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to my left the Tiger Albert Campman. Let's go to high school football week 1. Top rushers, Logan Kushner of North Allegheny, 170 yards. Braylon Littlejohn of Butler, 162 yards. He also had 79 passing. He had 241 yards of Butler's total, 316. Evan Wright of Mars, 134 yards and 2 TDs. Brighton Anderson of Meadville, 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tony Nicolazzo of Knock, 114 yards and 3 touchdowns. Colton Otterman of Freeport, 105 yards and a touchdown. Our top passers, Luke Goodsworth of Mars, 275 yards, 2 TDs. Cody Mullen of Knock, 175 yards passing, and he added 92 yards rushing. Logan Kushner of NA, 120 yards passing, so he had 290 total yards on the night. Trent Beecham of Montauk, 120 yards and 3 TDs. Tate Reichel of Meadville, 100 yards and receiving. This kid, he's been doing it every week going back into last year. Gabe Hine of Mars, he caught 6 for 133 yards and a TD. Aiden Alessio of Mars, 5 for 120 and a TD. Jackson Bauman of Knox, 7 for 86. Logan Campbell of Montauk, he caught 4 for 78 yards, and he rushed for 96 yards, and he had a total of 4 touchdowns in their victory. And we want to mention a special note here with Red Bank Valley leading Corn City 35-6 on Friday night in the middle of the third quarter. Corn City quarterback Mason Martin collapsed on the field, rushed to a Pittsburgh hospital. He's in serious condition, suffering a head injury and a collapsed lung. We have nothing but our thoughts and prayers with him. Nothing in the game means anything. The scores pale. No. They don't mean anything when a player goes down like that with such a serious injury.
His mom posted some positive info yesterday on
Great.
Twitter. Hopefully,
it's getting better.
It seemed they removed the tube and something else. So hopefully, he's going to recover. And I couldn't think about anything else. From the minute I heard about it, I just thought to myself, as you said, who cares who won the game?
No,
nobody cares.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Hey, local college football. Slippery won its 14th straight season opener, 28-17 over Wayne State. Running backs Chris Dior and Isaiah Edwards combined for 197 yards rushing, 2 DDs. The Rock had 209 yards rushing. Last year, if you guys remember, they were throwing 40, 50 passes every game. They didn't have a running game. This is a big game changer for them.
They better be able to throw it, though. If you can't throw it today, you can't win. It's just the way the rules are set up that way. You watch every game. Like you said, 4 passes from the 1-yard line. Everybody just throws the ball every play.
There's a strong part for the Rock, a good start for them. Next up, they have Westchester coming up. That'll be a tough game for them. Grove City 17, Westminster 7. Grove City running back Nico Flatty had 114 yards rushing. For Westminster wide receiver Jalen Royal Island, he caught 6 passes for 107 yards. Big win for Grove City starting off.
West Mini punted back to them with 9 minutes. Never got the ball back.
No kidding.
No.
Wow. Both teams were down the field the first possession.
Yeah.
And after that, nobody scored. Nobody did anything.
Our stories of the week. Let's start with the high school football game of the week. Our live broadcast of the Butler Meadville game. Thriller won by Butler 27-26, but it's about 27-26. We did the last game last year when NA came
Yes,
from
we did.
behind to
That's
beat
right.
Seneca, 27-26 to win the conference championship. Meadville, even though they outgained Butler 429 to 316 yards and they rushed for 267, they failed on 3 2-point conversions. Their kicker early in the game hurt his leg, Nico Williams. And I'm not questioning Coach Ray Cullen. You just wonder why this day and age you wouldn't have some backup kicker or a kicker from the soccer team, or you could have 2 or 3 kickers on your team with the way soccer's going today, and there's so many good kickers out there. Williams tried that field goal at the end of the game, and it just fluttered off to the right. Meadville had no answer for Braden Littlejohn. George, what a performance he put on.
It was a big time between escaping and throwing the ball and escaping and running the ball. He did a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he threw the 32-yard touchdown pass to Landon Lacey.
Running
with
left.
40 to go.
Running
to
left.
his
That
left.
was a tough throw.
And he was on the field the entire game, offense, defense, 241 yards that he accounted for. And we thought it was over, and then Meadville came right back, got the ball down to the Butler 9-yard line with 13 seconds left, but the field goal failed, and Butler snapped a 7-game losing streak with a thrilling win there.
It was an exciting game.
Division I, he's supposed to do that, though. Do you understand? If you're going Division
Oh, yeah,
I,
he's going to man me.
that's what I'm saying. So that is, you're supposed to dominate in high school, and he's doing that. Congratulations to him.
And Meadville, small Albert, 150-pound linebackers, right? 150-pound fullback, and Brighton Anderson, though, he put on the show himself. What a terrific runner he is. It was just an outstanding football game. Let's do them all live now. Hey, college football, Pitt 45, Wofford 7. How dominant was the game? Pitt had 491 total yards, and Wofford had 126. They rushed 19 times for 1 yard.
Once again, if you're a big-time Division I program like Pitt, you're supposed to do that.
Yes,
I mean, that's what's
expected.
Because it's not, Wofford's not a dominating.
Yeah, it's not Delaware, right?
No. They were 3-8 last year.
Yes.
Phil Jakovic, 17 of 23, 214 yards, a TD, 7 rushes for 41 yards and a TD, and a good start for him. Next up, they're going to take on Cincinnati 1-0. Cincinnati beat Eastern Kentucky 66-13. This will be a little bit different.
I'd say different than Wofford for certain.
Yeah, going from Terriers to Bearcats.
Yes.
And how about this? Cincinnati will bring preseason All-American with them, a defensive tackle by the name of Dante Corleone. Goes by Don Corleone.
that's you can't have a better name.
You can't have a
You
better
make them an offer they can't refuse.
that he has it. Hey, Penn State 38, West Virginia 15. Penn State, what we expected, but I thought there were a lot of positives for West Virginia too. I think Green, the quarterback, and Donaldson, the running back. For a while there, West Virginia did all they could, gave them all they could handle, and then West Virginia just too strong. Penn State just too strong.
Yeah, just a sad commentary when you say that West Virginia looked good and they lost 38-15. That means that the coach is going to get fired.
Yeah.
When you're giving accolades, getting beat by 20 points.
Well, I'm not saying accolade. I saw some positives,
but I'm saying
in the game.
You can't have that in college football. When you get paid.
No,
Doesn't he have to be Pitt?
What?
I think he has to.
Oh,
be.
no.
Oh, he has to. He has.
I know the league.
Wait,
but he has to beat Pitt.
He has to beat Duquesne this week.
He's going to beat Duquesne.
He's going to beat Duquesne. Then he has to beat Pitt.
I think.
If he wants to save his job.
I'll tell you what, though, I
question.
saw his buyout. They're going to have to wait till the season's over. He makes a ton.
And I think he's a really good coach, by the way.
I do too.
I'm just saying. There's no.
No.
They played pretty good.
I see some positive between Garrett Green and C.J. Donaldson that I think that'll serve them well. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win 9 games the rest of them, but I think it gives them a chance to win the 7 that we talked about.
I'm hoping they do because I want the coach to
The
save
easy
the job.
ones in that league are Central Florida, Brigham Young, and Cincinnati. I don't know that any of them. It might be TCU before it's over.
Yeah, it looks like it.
In prime time, Coach Deion Sanders, he brought in 87 new players to Colorado. 2 of the biggest, his son, quarterback, Shedeur Saunders, who threw for a school record 510 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then two-way starter Travis Hunter was the number 1 recruit. He caught 11 passes for 119 yards, and he also picked off a pass on defense. And then how about the freshman Dylan Edwards? He caught 3 TD passes and all these new players, and 45-42 win over TCU. Next up, Nebraska, which lost to Minnesota on a walk-off field goal.
Hey, he had another son that had 10 tackles, 9 solo.
It plays defense, yes. 87 new players, and no one thought he could put together and have a team ready for the start of the season. I don't know what he's going to do the rest of the season, but I'm going to say this. The rest of college football, when he goes recruiting and walks into a kid's living room, he brings with him credibility.
Boy, oh boy.
Hall of Famer, Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
He's very smart. He's a motivator. Look out. You're not getting all the players, Alabama, you thought you were going to get before Tennessee. He's going to get his fair share.
Yeah, it comes down to what is behind the scenes. And Colorado said, open, see, go get who you want.
Sesame.
You get money out. See, it's a money-driven sport.
Admittance, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That guy that went, Tucker said he had to get out. They wouldn't let anybody in.
Yeah, Colorado just said they give him free reign to do what he wants. And he has that reputation, which is great. Yeah. And I just hope they stay humble. I already saw his kids talking. I'd rather see them just win.
No, he won't say.
And, you know,
you can't play for him and be humble.
But he doesn't say anything. No, he doesn't say much.
Yeah,
that way. But his son, but he has other people saying it for him.
Yeah, and let me say this: I go back when he was going in the NFL and he took their intelligence test, that Wonderlink, whatever it's called,
Wonderlink,
and he scored one of the highest, not the highest scores ever. And so they were dubious. They brought him back in the room and they said, "You scored one of the highest on this test." And he said, "Yeah. You want me to take it again?" To which they said, "No." They should have never even asked him the question. First of all, you have people all around you watching you take that test. Why did they doubt him?
Yeah. They're not doubting him right now. If they're
not doubting him now.
No, his 3.5 wins are pretty good, don't they?
Yes.
Leading up to the LSU Florida State game, LSU coach Brian Kelly said that they were going to really put a physical whipping on Florida State. I don't know. Did he know he was playing Florida State?
Albert told me they were good. My goodness.
I'm just happy he got whooped. That's all. Because I'm talking about prime, not being humble. Well, Kelly has no humility.
No.
And so he's so easy. He's so easy to root against. Yeah, he's the easiest guy in the
country.
Boy,
the Notre Dame fans were having fun on Twitter. Oh, boy. We told you.
Hey, Florida State, that speed.
They looked the best of any team I saw.
Did you see this game coming?
No, that score. No, I thought it was a high-scoring game, but I didn't know it would be that kind of score one way.
31 unanswered points.
It's really impressive with Florida State's defense. I really was. Amazing how fast they are.
So now, how will LSU respond?
They'll beat a lot of teams because Florida State's that good. I have no doubt about they'll respond the right way.
Now, Duke 28 and Clemson 7. A big win for Duke. Well, what a turnaround there. 9-4 last year. And Coach Elko, the ACC Coach of the Year, off to a thrilling start here. I really thought Clemson would win this game by at least 10 points, 13 points. But Duke played well. Clemson made a lot of mistakes, and Duke took advantage of them.
A couple things stood out to me. The Duke quarterback's tremendous, first of all.
You know who he's like, your buddy. The guy you like in the Giants. That's why I recruit him the same way. He's the exact guy.
He is. And the second thing is Clemson does not have the receivers they used to have. Remember, they used to have a pro receiver on both sides. They're playing guys that are average Joes, and it's hard to win if you can't get explosive plays down the field.
This week, Texas at Alabama. Texas leads the all-time series 7-2-1. How do we see this game?
Well, if Texas is ever going to win a game, it's going to be this week because Alabama's still working the quarterback in there. And I wasn't Milroe. I wasn't impressed with him. He's a good runner, very good runner. Yeah. He's not a thrower.
I like Texas in this game.
Hey, I watched their game there. They had a lady that had a thermometer on the field. It was 160 coming off the turf.
Whoa!
I've never heard of that.
Hey, Horace Greeley once said, we know this, go west, young man. Now the saying in college football is, no, go east, young men. Go east, college football team. So Stanford, Colorado, and SMU, they will join the ACC in 2004. And who's snubbed once again? West Virginia. Right in the middle of the ACC, and they can't get into the conference.
Hey, that goes from go west to no west. There's only 2 teams in the league left.
Just Washington State and Oregon.
And they're both good teams.
Yeah.
They're going to end up with the Mountain West.
Oregon State.
Or will they try to rebuild and rebuild the Pac-12, the Conference of Champions, bring
Invite
in
them.
Can they bring in Hawaii?
But
and
could they invite some of
Wyoming?
the Mountain West into the
Hawaii, Wyoming?
Well, they
like
just
Boise
got a
State?
representative on the board. Like the guy from Utah is on the board as a Pac-12 representative.
Well,
so many things going on, we have no idea.
Yeah.
you've gone from the Power 5 to now the Super 4, and sooner or later, you guys know I predicted this a few years ago.
I'll give you credit for that.
The NCAA, the SEC and the Big Ten won't need the NCAA anymore.
Not at all.
And
You know what's coming?
and the Super 4 will have their own league.
You know,
all the rest of the sports will be under the NCAA.
You know what's coming? Relegation. They're eventually going to make it where if you don't keep up with the Joneses, you're out. They're going to go to Vanderbilt at some point, and they're going to go to Rutgers. They're going to say, wait a minute. You're not bringing this revenue in. Go somewhere else.
All right, let's get to the Steelers, the NFL. Week 1, the 49ers, 2.5-point favorites with Nick Bosa, without
He's going to play.
Nick Bosa. He's going to play.
Yes.
Hey, let's do a quick thing here. I'll mention something. You guys tell me the advantage. The Steeler run game versus the San Francisco run defense. The advantage
San
is?
Francisco.
Advantage is?
Yeah,
Same with me, San Francisco. Steeler passing attack versus the 49ers pass defense.
I'd say it's Steelers pass attack looks like it's going to be pretty good. I'll say even.
I'm going to give a slight lead to San Francisco. Steelers passing attack versus the 49ers pass defense.
San Francisco's defense is really good. I'll give San Francisco. I'll give both teams defensively edges.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, the 49ers run game versus Steelers run defense. This will be interesting.
Steelers will stop the run this year.
I see that as even. And the 49ers passing attack versus Steelers pass defense. If there's a concern for me, it's a Steelers secondary.
Means nothing if they get a pass rush. That's what it comes down to.
Well, Albert, I know that. In 4 out of the last 6 years, the Steelers have led the league in sacks with 0 playoff wins. And how about special teams advantage?
I don't know that one.
This new guy looks like he can bring kicks back. Pittsburgh, now remember, exhibition.
Yes.
They did look a little better.
I like the Steelers here. Coaching advantage?
Well, that's easy. Steelers.
Yeah.
Steelers. Okay. And the score? Your prediction?
Steelers 27, San Francisco 20.
George?
21-20 Steelers.
I have the Steelers 1917, and Ray Fittipaldo I had on has the Steelers 1916.
Close.
So, and then Thursday night, you have Detroit at Kansas City, Chiefs by 6.5.
I take the Chiefs opening game, Super Bowl champ.
I like the Chiefs, but in a close one,
Okay.
27-23. And then Cincy and the Browns.
I like the Browns at home.
I like the Browns.
Me too.
24-17. And then Monday night, the Bills and the Jets. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, boy.
I'm
Jets.
taking the Bills.
I'm going to take the Jets just on a home field hunch.
I'm going to take the Jets 26-24.
All right.
Hey, that's it for us. We run out of time. We'll see you next week.
Did you know that you could get fast, reliable Zoom internet for as little as $4.95 per month with ACP? Armstrong is participating in the FCC's Affordable Connectivity Program, which helps eligible households receive a credit of up to $30 per month on their internet bill. This program will also increase and improve broadband infrastructure throughout the U.S., especially in rural areas. There's no need to call. Visit ArmstrongOneWire.com/ACP or scan the QR code on your screen for more information and to apply.